There is a version of you that wakes up on time, that does the hard thing first, that does not need motivation to move. You have met that version. You have been that version for a day, for a week, before life pulled you back into the person who hits snooze, who scrolls before thinking, who promises tomorrow will be different. The gap between who you are right now and who you could be is not talent. It is not luck. It is not circumstance. It is discipline. And discipline is not a personality trait you either have or do not have. It is a practice, one that can be built morning by morning, the same way a blacksmith builds an edge on a blade, not in one strike, but in thousands of small, repeated ones. The Stoics understood this better than almost anyone in history. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still forced himself out of bed against his own resistance. Epictetus was born a slave and built through nothing but discipline of mind, one of the most respected philosophies in human history. Seneca lived under the constant threat of execution and still trained himself daily because he knew that a mind left undisciplined becomes its own tyrant. This is not a video about feeling good for 5 minutes. This is not motivation that evaporates by lunch. This is a system. 7 laws that applied every single morning rebuild the architecture of who you are. Stay with this. All of it matters. Before we begin, take 1 second to subscribe to this channel. It helps bring this wisdom to more people who need it. Let's begin. Law 1. Discipline does not wait for motivation. Here is the sentence that changes everything once you actually accept it. Motivation is not required. It never was. Most people postpone their morning discipline until they feel ready for it. They wait for the surge of inspiration, the perfect night's sleep, the clean slate that makes rising early feel effortless. That day rarely comes, and even when it does not last. Motivation is a mood. Moods are unreliable by nature. Building your life around a mood is building your house on water. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?" He did not wait to feel like an emperor. He got up and did the work of one, feeling or no feeling. The Stoics replaced motivation with something far more reliable: decision. A decision made once, in advance, removes the need to renegotiate with yourself every single morning. You do not decide at 5 a.m. whether to get up. You decided last night. This morning, you simply execute. The practice. Tonight, before you sleep, decide out loud, if you have to, exactly what time you rise tomorrow and exactly what the first action will be. Not a vague intention, a specific decision. Tomorrow morning, your only job is to honor a decision that was already made, not to negotiate a new one while half asleep. Dean Seneca's law. 2. Own the first hour, or someone else will. The first hour of your day is the only hour that belongs entirely to you before the world starts making its claims. The moment you open your phone, you hand that hour to notifications, algorithms, other people's emergencies, other people's agendas. By the time you finally sit down to do what actually matters to you, the day has already been spent on everyone but yourself. Epictetus taught a principle that applies with brutal precision here. Some things are within our control and some are not. Your phone buzzing is not within your control. What you do in the first 60 seconds after waking absolutely is. This is not really about phones. It is about sovereignty. Every morning you allow external noise to reach you first. You are training your mind to treat the world's priorities as more urgent than your own. Do that daily for years, and you become a person who reacts for a living instead of a person who builds. The Stoics guarded their mornings the way a soldier guards a perimeter, not out of paranoia, but because they understood that whatever gets in first sets the tone for everything that follows. The practice. For the next 7 days, do not touch your phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. Use that window for one deliberate action: writing, reading, movement, silence. Notice how different the entire day feels when you, not your notifications, decide what matters first. Law 3. Build one non-negotiable, not 10 ambitious ones. People fail at discipline not because they aim too low, but because they aim absurdly high on day one. A new morning routine with 11 steps rarely survives past the first difficult week because willpower is a limited resource and complexity is its enemy. Seneca warned against exactly this pattern. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. Most of that waste is not laziness. It is abandoned systems, routines too elaborate to sustain, promises made to yourself in a burst of enthusiasm and broken the first time life got difficult. The Stoics practiced something closer to minimalism of habit. One discipline, executed without exception, does more for your character than 10 disciplines executed occasionally. A single non-negotiable, one you literally cannot skip, no matter your mood, your schedule, or your excuse, becomes the anchor around which everything else can eventually be built. The practice. Choose exactly one morning action that takes less than 10 minutes and matters to you. A page of writing, 10 push-ups, a short walk, 5 minutes of silence. Make it small enough that no excuse survives it. Do only that every single morning for 30 days before adding anything else. Show. Law 4. Master the body first. It trains the mind to obey. There is a reason the Stoics placed such emphasis on physical discipline, and it has little to do with vanity. The body is the fastest, most direct way to practice command over yourself. Every time you make yourself move, when you would rather stay still, you are not just training muscle. You are training the exact mental muscle that later refuses to quit on a difficult project, a hard conversation, a long goal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That power is not theoretical. It is built through repetition, and there is no cheaper, more available repetition than the decision to move your body when resistance says no. This is why cold showers, early workouts, and physical discomfort appear so often in Stoic-adjacent practice. Not because suffering is virtuous in itself, but because voluntarily choosing minor discomfort trains the will to choose difficulty on purpose, instead of only ever facing it when circumstances force your hand. The practice. Each morning, before anything else, complete one physical action you would rather skip. A short walk in the cold, a set of exercises, a cold splash of water on your face. Not for the fitness benefit, for the proof, repeated daily, that your mind's resistance does not get the final vote. Law 5. Silence before input. Before you consume a single opinion, headline, or message from the outside world, your own mind deserves the first word. Most people fill the silence of morning immediately, with music, with news, with someone else's voice, because silence, when you are not used to it, feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort is exactly where clarity lives. Epictetus taught that we suffer far more from our reactions to things than from the things themselves, and reaction requires input. A mind that has not yet been fed the day's noise is a mind still capable of thinking its own thoughts, rather than immediately processing everyone else's. The Stoics treated the quiet minutes before the world's demands arrive as sacred, not mystically, but practically. It is the only time all day when your thinking is entirely your own, uncontaminated by what you just read, watched, or scrolled. The practice. Sit in complete silence for 5 minutes before consuming any content. No music, no podcast, no phone. Just you and whatever your own mind produces when nothing else is competing for it. Notice what surfaces when nothing is drowning it out. Law 6. Do the hardest thing. First, willpower is highest when you wake and drains as the day continues. Most people spend that early strength on easy, low-stakes tasks, checking messages, tidying small things, anything that feels productive without requiring real resistance. By the time they finally face the one task that actually matters, their discipline reserve is already spent, and the important thing gets pushed again to tomorrow. The Stoics practiced something they called premeditatio malorum, deliberately confronting difficulty rather than avoiding it, because avoidance only postpones the cost and adds interest to it. Seneca lived by the principle that difficulty faced early, while you are strongest, costs far less than difficulty faced late when you are depleted and out of excuses. Whatever task in your life you have been quietly avoiding, the hard conversation, the demanding project, the uncomfortable decision, it deserves your first hour, not your last. That is when you have the most discipline available to spend on it. The practice. Identify the single task you are most likely to avoid today. Do it before anything else, before email, before small tasks, before anything easy. Let your hardest thing consume your freshest willpower, not your last drop of it. Law 7. Consistency beats intensity every time. The final law is the one that makes all the others matter over time. A brilliant morning routine performed for 3 days and abandoned produces nothing. A modest routine performed without exception for 300 days produces a different person entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way," and the Stoics understood that the obstacle to discipline is rarely a single dramatic failure. It is the accumulation of small, individually reasonable exceptions. One day off becomes two. Two becomes a forgotten habit. The damage is never done by a single skipped morning. It is done by how easily skipping becomes normal. Discipline is not built by intensity. It is built by the refusal to negotiate an exception morning after morning, especially on the days you do not feel like it. Those are not the mornings discipline is optional. Those are the mornings it is actually being built. Desu, the practice. Track your non-negotiable from Law 3 with a simple mark on a calendar. Nothing more. Do not aim for perfection. Aim for an unbroken chain as long as possible. When it breaks, as it eventually will, restart the next morning without self-punishment. The chain matters more than any single link. Closing 7 laws. One purpose, to hand you back control of the only hours of the day that are entirely yours before the world arrives to claim the rest. Discipline does not wait for motivation. Own the first hour before someone else does. Build one non-negotiable instead of 10 ambitious promises. Master the body, and the mind learns to follow. Sit in silence before you let the world's noise in. Do the hardest thing first, while your will is strongest. And above all, choose consistency over intensity every single morning, without exception. None of this requires you to become a different person overnight. It requires you to become, tomorrow morning, very slightly more disciplined than you were today. Repeated daily, that small difference compounds into a life almost unrecognizable from the one you are living now. The alarm will sound tomorrow morning the same way it always has. The only question that has ever mattered is what you choose to do in the minute after it does. If this resonated with you, there is another video that will take you even deeper. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. It helps this reach more people who need it. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one.